Hi guys, it's Romano. How's everyone doing? Good, 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 I hope. Oh my gosh, I've wanted to do this video for such a long time, and today is the day that I'm doing it. And I probably chose the worst day because my upstairs neighbour has been having a party since 6 o'clock yesterday evening. It's now midday and it's still going. They've just quietened down. I've had this set up all morning to do. So today I wanted to do a spotlight on MASQUE Milano. I was contacted by the two founders, or one of the founders of this company, and they very kindly offered to send me their gift set, which I was so excited about. It's so beautiful. I briefly smelled their fragrances, a couple of them, when I went on a sniffing trip with my friend Olga last year. But if you're like me, when you go on a mega sniffing trip, things get lost and you forget about things, and it's hard to recall when you smell, 200 fragrances in a day. So I'm so happy to have this at home in relatively undisturbed space, I will say. And I'm just going to get to try them, so I'm really excited. I've tried a lot of these on skin, so it's a mini kind of first impressions. I've not delved too far in. I wanted to kind of keep it exciting for myself and hopefully you as well. So MASQUE Milano, obviously Italian brand. It is the inspiration and dream of two very dashing Italian gentlemen, Alessandro Brun, and one of them is Riccardo Tedeschi. I've been researching their history, their background. They've got both of them have an amazing story, and they met by, they say, serendipity. I would love to know how they met, what that story is, but they both have extensive knowledge. They're very creative. Both can play guitar really well. One's been in a band. One of them's father was a glass blower. Just hugely creative people. And they see the fragrances as, let's say, a life opera. They've divided their fragrances into acts, the same way you would go and view an opera. You'd have act 1, act 2, act 3. The same thing happens in life. So there's actually 4 acts. This set only contains 1, 2 and 3, because the 4th act, I'm guessing, is the 2 new fragrances that have come out. One's called Kintsugi and the other one is called Love Kills. So Act 1, it says here, is a collection of experiences, discoveries, places and journeys. So it's about travel. The 2nd act is about interior monologues, emotions, deep thoughts, inner reflections. The 3rd act is about romance, love, betrayal. The 4th act, which I don't have, is dreams, improbable, fascinating reveries. So these fragrances, they are not the perfumers behind the fragrance, they are collaborations, kind of like a lot of brands out there like Zoologist, where there's a visionary and then they work with perfumers to bring the things to life. They come in little 35ml cute little bottles, and they're all priced slightly differently, but all of them are at least £100 to my knowledge. Some of them are €108, some of them are 138, some are 120, but they're around about the £100 mark. And they're really cute, and they say, upon reading about them, they say that the mask part of it is allowing perfumers to put on a mask and become, or bring to life that character or that perfume. So that's the inspiration behind it, and I don't know if the guys will watch this, but if you do, thank you so much for sending me this. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'm sorry it's taken me so long. I did say I would do a video for you guys, gladly. Today's the day. So we're going to just smell them. Let me show you the set. I did actually have a casualty in transit. One of the fragrances fell out of its little place and died. And sadly, I think it's probably my favourite, because this box smells totally. It was Tango. Tango is the one that died. It's a beautiful spiced amber. It's a beautiful oriental. Orientals are my favourite fragrances. So here's the set. I won't tip it up too much because they do fall out. But yeah, just absolutely gorgeous. I'm just so appreciative. I'm always ready to dive into a new fragrance line and try them. So MASQUE Milano. Here we go. Right. I feel really special. I get the proper mask blotters and everything. So let's talk about them. So the first one in the line, this is Act 1 obviously, is Taral Burr. This was made by a perfumer called Delphine Terry. And I think this one is about Caprico, a place. It's about mountains with the sea, kind of close by, lush greenery, all that kind of stuff. I'll just quickly read a little bit more about it. Don't worry, I'm going to edit this so you haven't got to sit here with me going, scrolling. There's enough of that in life already. So the notes of this one are top notes clary sage, lemon and green tangerine. The heart notes are myrtle, thyme, curry leaves and everlasting flower. That's interesting because to me everlasting flower / immortelle smells like curry anyway. The base notes are lentisque, which is also known as mastic. It's a resin, juniper, cypress and cedarwood. So it says you're in a transition area which smells of shrubs and heath. Saline odour of the sea. You walk cautiously on the rocks of the median pathway leading to the beach. So this is the travel act, so that's what it's about. So let's spray it. This one, if I remember rightly, leans kind of masculine. They don't specify who it's for, but it's just the feeling of the fragrance. So, Taral Burr, is that something to do with earth? Terra, it's earth, right? So this to me is decidedly masculine. It feels masculine to me. It feels like a very gentlemanly thing. And it feels a little bit fougere, even though there's no moss or anything like that, but cypress, juniper, things like that. It's green. It's green and it's aromatic. And it's very, I would say, kind of classy. Their fragrances, I can say at the beginning of this video because I've smelled all of them, is that their fragrances have this really nice feeling of clarity and crispness where you can feel the ingredients. I like that. There's no overwhelming cloyingness to anything that they have. Oh, it's gone limp. So the main standout notes for me in this one are cypress, juniper and cedarwood. So it's a green, woody, kind of aromatic thing and it feels fougere. This one to me isn't one of the most exciting ones, only because I don't, if you know me at all, I don't really wear masculine things like this, but this definitely feels like a gentleman's blend. And it feels classy, it's nice. The cedarwood's underlying and you've got a nice greenery. I don't really get much of the sea part. I don't get much. Am I leaning too far forward? I'm aware that my head might get chopped off. If I say anything bad in this video as well. No, I'm only joking. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I like this. It's not one that I would personally wear, but I get what they're going for. I wish it was more salty or did have more of a marine feeling, but for now it's kind of greenery. So I'm going to leave that one there. So the next one is called Monte Cristo. It says, in the living room of an old villa in the Tuscan countryside, it is the close of day. Also made by Delphine Terry. The notes are Cabruva. Thoughts, anyone? What's that? Ambrette seeds and rum. Ambrette is used in perfumes to mimic the smell of musk. It's like an animalic note. It's also known as musk mallow, I believe, that lets the perfumer not use musk. And then rum. The heart notes are tobacco leaves, celery seeds, cistus, which is labdanum. It's the resin that's present in the amber accord. And then benzoin. Interesting to have benzoin in a heart. Then the base notes are golden stone. From my knowledge, that could be hyraceum, or maybe I'm thinking of African stone, I'm not sure. Then you've got styrax gum, guaiac wood, cedarwood and patchouli. So let's read a little bit more about what this one's about. This one says it's €108. So it's about the inside of a villa. They wanted to go for old books, I guess. Delphine Terry, it's you sitting there with a cigar, a glass of rum in an old Tuscan house. So I love the theme of that. I think that's super cool. Let me just spray it and see what comes out. I love tobacco fragrances for sure. I feel like this one might be masculine too, from what I remember. This is lovely. I much prefer this one to the first one. So tobacco, yes. Smooth tobacco here. It's not woody, it's not leafy. It's a tiny bit boozy. It actually feels ambery as well. And that's probably because of labdanum. I can really feel labdanum in here. Labdanum is such a beautiful note. I can wear it on its own. It's leathery, it's incensey, it's ambery, it's resinous, it's really, really nice. And I feel like that is the crux of this fragrance. I feel like labdanum is the centre, and then there's a touch of booze and a really nice tobacco. This is really nice. It's a lovely tobacco. It has that same thing that all of them has. It's not dense and heavy. There's a lightness to the way that these fragrances are blended, and that's kind of, I guess, their signature. I can feel that they have this running thing of just really nice materials and just goodness, really. I really want to know what Cabrova is. I think I should look it up while I'm on camera. Gaiac wood, I don't smell patchouli yet. I mean, Gaiac wood is usually smoky, it's a bit caramelly. For now, this is about a resinous feeling. Benzoin a little bit kind of sweet, labdanum is sweet, with tobacco and a tiny bit of booziness. And it's really nice, and it's also flopped. Okay, so Cabrova is a type of mahogany, apparently. It's a wood used to make floors, usually. So mahogany, I've smelled in fragrances before. It's a very intense, rich wood, but this is a relatively sweet fragrance. I would say it's semi-sweet. Really nice. I'm going to move on. So the next one is called Russian Tea. This is actually my third favourite from the whole bunch. This one is made by Julien Rasquinet. So the head notes are mint, black pepper and raspberry. The heart notes are black tea, magnolia and everlasting flower again, which is immortelle. The base notes are leather, incense, birchwood and labdanum. So birchwood is usually very, very smoky. So this one says it's 125 euros. It says, day faded on the table glowing, the samovar of evening boiled. And that's a quote by Alexander Pushkin. He was a really famous Russian poet. So it's about snow-covered Nevsky Prospect, a sumptuous Art Nouveau building, a large bookstore, an elegant cafe, water is poured in the cup, black tea, heavy, intense. I'm just picking words out of the description so I don't have to read the whole thing to you. A teaspoon of raspberry preserve sweetens without altering it. Do people put jam in tea? That sounds interesting. Anyway, this one is actually, yeah, like I said, my third favourite of the bunch. My favourite being Tango, but rest in peace, Tango. I really, really like this one. So this is, you can feel black tea immediately. Black tea is lovely in fragrances. This one also has quite a prominent mint note, but the mint is softened. It's not a horrible chewing gum type of note. It's in the background, and this is a really lovely one. It's kind of bright, but also has a smoothness. I don't smell raspberry, but it feels very much herbaceous with the tea at the forefront and mint behind. Again, the clarity thing going on. What are the other notes here? I'm having to remind myself. Oh, this is really nice. I really like this. Mint, black pepper, raspberry, magnolia, everlasting flower. I don't smell magnolia. I don't really smell what would be an obvious floral, but there is something dark going on in the background, which I really like. I wouldn't say it's leathery, but I can feel a smokiness. And I feel like the birch tar or birchwood in this is replicating a facet of tea. The smokiness that tea can sometimes have. So it's not woody like birch tar bonfire smell. It's just a tiny facet that's enhancing the whole feeling of what tea smells like. And this is beautiful and genius. Mint is an interesting thing to have. I think without the mint, it would have been different because the mint cools it, of course. So green, black tea, touch smoky, and the incense in here is really interesting as well. It's interesting to have incense and tea together. This isn't an incense fragrance, but it's definitely there in the background somewhere, and I love this one. On skin, it's great, and on skin, it goes soft and smooth, on me anyway. This one is taking us to New York. This one is called Times Square. I'm guessing both of the guys have spent extensive periods of time in Times Square. So let's see what it says. This one's made by Bruno Jovanovic. It says, a lad, a tiny wee dot in the heart of a big apple, August 1993. Head notes, hazelnut accord, glossy lipstick accord. Heart notes, osmanthus and tuberose. And bass notes, sandalwood, guyakwood and styrax. So, this one's fun. I love what they say on their site about this one. It says this, I'm going to read it out to you. New York stinks. It stinks of cheap, harsh tobacco and dense exhaust gas. The traffic jam seems endless and stinks of hot rubber and stale steam. People are weird. The fashionista lady with the glowing green stilettos orders a huge pretzel and stinks of lurid street food of any sort. Cinnamon and fries, mustard and caramel. The cherry of the whore's bloody red lipstick melts with the strawberry of her chewing gum. The side alleys are just garbage and urine. But find your way through the crowd of bachelorettes waiting for the male strip show and it will be a flood of tuberose and carnation. I feel like having a walk tonight. I thought that said something else then. Go get my crab cakes and a burger and breathe the city miasmus while reaching the place. Oh, I love this city. How do I love it? So, this one doesn't smell like any of those things. I mean, it does sound like it's going to be a crazy fragrance with just disgustingness, but it doesn't. This one to me is really, really fruity. This is the fruitiest one in the line. Osmanthus, crazy amounts of osmanthus in this. Osmanthus is beautiful, it's a shrub, and it has a flower on it that doesn't really smell floral, it smells fruity, it smells like peach, it smells like apricot, it's a little bit leathery, and this is a really fun, youthful, bright fragrance. It's very different from the others right now. It's very different from the others, it's a completely different direction. This is them, I feel, being playful. It's super fruity, super fun. I don't really smell any nuttiness, any hazelnut or anything. Lipstick, I would presume, would be maybe iris, but to me this is really simple but effective. It feels just fun, bright and fruity, and again with that clarity. I'm going to stop saying that, but yeah. I really like it. It smells a little bit like it could be bubblegum or something like that. Like a bubblegummy tone. Obviously bubblegum has many different flavours, but the part of the description I get is the lady with the bubblegum, you know, mingling, the bubblegum mingling with her, whatever it said, red lipstick. So I like this. Very simple, and this one is not one that I can go much into depth with, but if you're looking for a great osmanthus, this one's lovely. So yay. So I think we're going to move on to Act 2. So Act 2 is the interior monologues, emotions, deep thoughts and inner reflections, lights and shadow of human nature. I feel like it's going to get a little bit more abstract now, because obviously fragrances based on places can be literal and they can be really fun, but if you're talking about something a little bit more spiritual and emotional, then yeah, I guess this was going to be a bit more different. So the first one in the second act is called Lucy ed Umbra, something about a shadow. Somebody please translate. It says deep down in your soul. The notes, this is made by Mayo Fashuini. The top notes are incense. The heart notes are ginger, tuberose, jasmine and moss. And the base notes are incense, cedarwood and patchouli. So this sounds like it's going to be right up my alley. Tuberose, incense in the top and the base. I'm all about it already. I'm here for it. They don't even call it top, heart and base notes in this one. They call it light notes, chiaroscuros and dark notes. So if this is an incense blend with tuberose, I mean, what's not to like about that? Okay. This is a spicy tuberose right now. The tuberose in here isn't super cloying and crazy. I can feel it. I can feel that smooth, white, heady floral, but this has got a darkness. This has got a spiciness going on as well. Ooh, interesting. Where's that spice? Oh, it's ginger, but it doesn't smell like a kind of the citrusy side of ginger. You know, ginger smells sometimes a little bit lemony and hot, but this This is like a woody tuberose with spice and a dark twist going on. I really love how this brand can take things that when you read the note lists where, you know, it sounds like it's going to be really heavy and just add that crisp classiness to everything. So I love them so far. This one feels green to me as well, which would indicate that the incense part of it is frankincense. Not smoked frankincense, but frankincense in its raw form, in its resinous form, because frankincense feels limey, it feels green, and I get a greenery from it as well. Everything here is kind of all on the same level. I can smell a lot of things here. I can smell pretty much everything that they mention, which I really like. The jasmine kind of supports the tuberose, but the tuberose is allowed to shine. But when you think of tuberose fragrances, it's easy to think that they're going to be these monstrous heavy things, and this is one of the most elegant tuberoses I've smelled. It's really cool, and it's got a lot of other supporting things like this incense, this moss. This is great. I guess it feels a little bit spiritual. I like it, but I'm going to move on. So the next one is called Mandala. When I first got this and I posted on my when I posted on my Facebook group which one should I smell, a lot of people said Lutessa, but a lot of people said Mandala as well. This one says The Whole Universe. It was made by Christian Carbonell. He's great. He's made fragrances for Xershov, he's made fragrances for Sospiro. He also made Camel by Zoologist and The New Panda. So if you guys know me, Camel is one of my favourite fragrances ever. So the head notes of this, frankincense, nutmeg and angelica. The heart notes are cardamom, cloves, labdanum, cedar and incense. And the base notes are myrrh, sandalwood, oak moss and a tincture of natural ambergris. So Mandala is 138 euros, maybe because of the ambergris tincture. It says, light, rarefied air, utter silence. Cows lazily lying on the grass stare at you while you start spinning the prayer wheels. Monasteries, monks, myrrh, incense. I love this one. This is, I've not smelled an incense fragrance like this before. There is a gorgeous sweet tang in the very core of it. It's almost like a sweet green tang, but this is a very clear and pronounced myrrh fragrance. Oh my gosh, a little bit of woody spiciness from nutmeg, and I really get the feel for this line. I don't want to keep repeating it, but the feel of it, they obviously use really nice materials, and the materials are allowed to shine really well. So they're just classy. I just really like the feel of them. They feel very refined and thought out and put together very well. I like this. It's one of the lightest incenses I've smelled. I feel like this could be a casual, even an incense for spring. There's enough of a lightness in it where it's not a dense cathedral type smoky incense. This is all of things. These are all things that can be incense before they're smoked. Myrrh, frankincense, that kind of thing. I don't smell anything like Immortelle in it. This is, to me, simplistic, pure, light, but interesting incense. Really nice. It feels a bit planty. I don't know why I'm saying that, but the greenery here feels like some sort of stem. Like a crisp green stem mingled in with a very smooth and light incense and a sweet tang as well. So I hope I did that one justice. So the next one is called Hemingway, or an homage to Hemingway. This is made by Fanny Bal. His eyes were the same colour as the sea, and they were cheerful and undefeated. This one is their vetiver. So this one I did try on my skin. Vetiver I really liked, if it's not too much. This one I think has a couple of different types of vetiver in it. So the top notes are ginger oil, rhubarb. The heart note I should say is vetiver. And then the base note is Haitian vetiver, Javan vetiver distillation, cedarwood oil, patchouli, and leather. So as far as vetivers go, Why do I smell something a little bit rhubarby in here? Vetiver can be, obviously it's a root. It's the root of a grass. It's a very earthy smell. It's kind of smoky sometimes. It's quite an intense thing. And this has 2 types of vetiver in it, maybe even 3. And this is nice. I get a lightness from it. So it feels like vetiver in its driest stage. When you first put vetiver on sometimes, that's when you get the full whack of it, the full earthy, the full intensity of it. But when vetiver is really dry, that's when you get the crispness of it. The only way I can describe it is kind of like when you first put an oud fragrance on, and it's mushroomy and earthy and weird, but in the dry stages of oud, it's super sharp and crisp and woody, and I get the super sharp, crisp and woody element of vetiver. I don't know why I'm smelling rhubarb. That's a really odd thing. Rhubarb is something that kind of burst onto the fragrance scene. I think it was maybe Firmenich or possibly Givaudan that discovered the rhubarb molecule or the rhubarb accord, and then it was captive for a while, so only certain companies or only they had access to it, and then it got released to the fragrance world, and now you see rhubarb fragrances popping up everywhere. Hermes is one of them. So yeah, I can really smell that in here. So to me this is like a grassy, woody rhubarb. Crisp, a little bit smoky, and very interesting for a vetiver. I like it. So now we're moving on to the final act. There are 3 in this act, however, like I said, Tango died, so we can't smell Tango, but I can smell it from here. And it's my favourite. Why did my favourite one have to die? The second to last one is called Lutessa. This is my second favourite one of the bunch. It goes Tango, Lutessa, Russian tea. I would love to have Tango, but alas, what will be will be. Oh, that rhymed. So it says here, the perfumer behind this is Luca Maffei. Head notes, Italian bergamot, Moroccan neroli and a champagne accord. The heart notes are Italian iris absolute, Italian iris root butter and French iris root butter as well. Also tuberose absolute and Madagascan ylang ylang. The base notes are sandalwood, Mysore sandalwood it says, which is amazing. That is kind of a very, very precious ingredient. Oak moss and a leather accord. There's leather in quite a lot of their fragrances, don't you think? So this one sounds, I mean, the description is lovely. It's about a date. It's about someone in a gorgeous place with a giant window, curtains billowing, jazz singer on the record. I guess it's like a night in, you know, a date night. So this is absolutely stunning. 3 types of iris in here. Gosh, iris is not a cheap ingredient. And it says it's absolute as well, so it's real. This one says that it costs 138 euros as well. So when you first put this on, this is, because I've worn this one, it's iris of course, all of the gorgeousness that iris is. Again, with them it's not a cloying, it's not dense, it's not heavy, it's crisp clarity iris. It has that lipstick feeling, and I can see why this one is a favourite for a lot of people, because it's one of the most beautiful iris perfumes I've smelled, hands down. And it has all of the facets of iris, so it has the butteriness, it has the leatheriness, but it also has a real bright powderiness as well. And on my skin, the butteriness of the iris, when I've tried this a couple of times, does actually disappear quite quickly, and it blooms into this real powdery thing, which made me feel like there was rose in there. Maybe there is, I don't know, but it's not listed as a note. I don't get tuberose from this at all. I know it's a listed note. Tuberose is usually a monster, right? You can always smell tuberose when it's in a fragrance, but this is, to me, all about a buttery iris at first, and then this gorgeous, clean powderiness that comes out of it. So nice. It's kind of delicate when it dries. But yeah, as far as an iris goes, this is lovely. Delicate powdery notes in here. Not baby powder, a different kind of powder, almost like the powder that roses give you sometimes. And yeah, this one is a standout for sure. So we're going to move on to the last one because I can't talk about Tango. So the last one is called Romanza, and I will go so far as to say that this one is the most challenging one to wear. So I'm kind of glad that the video is ending on this one, because I have worn this one as well. This is definitely a challenge. I would say this is the most unconventional fragrance from Masque Milano. It says, the studio was filled with the rich odour of roses. The Green Fairy, it says here, so dressed, so carefully groomed, irresistibly debonair, intoxicating, flowers in full bloom. It's about a garden, bees hopping from one flower to another. It's Cristiano Canali. The notes are absinthe. This is what they say. It says, instead of top notes, it says the appearance, dandy's touch, absinthe, artemisia, orange blossom, and angelica. Then the heart notes, it says the soul, hedonist bouquet, French narcissus absolute, which is also known as daffodil, violet leaves, and jasmine. And then it says the ineluctable, time revenge, decadent woods, vetiver, cedarwood, patchouli, amber, accord, and myrrh. So this one I think is great, but definitely difficult. This is definitely a green fragrance, and it feels like one of those quite challenging green florals, like a nod to a vintage one. If you think of things like Cabotin by Gress and Tundra Poison by Dior, you know, those kind of unusual green florals that were around in vintage times, but not a chypre by any means. This one is weird. It has this Narcissus absolute. Narcissus is a green, strange note anyway. Excuse me. And at the beginning, this one feels like a green stemmy bouquet, and it's really beautiful. I really like it. But when you start putting the leaves and stems of fragrances, of flowers into fragrances, something happens, and on my skin, this one is definitely difficult to wear. It goes to, do I want to say indole? I don't think it's indolic. It's in that, without sounding too awful, it has that kind of floral Uranus thing that sometimes honey can give you in a fragrance. But that's when it's dry on skin. I wore this one and I thought, wow, the dry down of this is odd for sure. It does feel a little bit honey, but you can definitely feel this stemminess, this leafiness with a green floral thing that... I like that they mentioned bees, because it feels pollen-like. So this is their unconventional, and I really like it. It's not one that I would wear, but if you like a challenge, definitely try this one out. I appreciate the artistry of this fragrance for sure, and if you're a fan of things like Cabotin and Tundra Poison, I reckon you should try this. I'm not saying it smells the same, but it's in that realm. It's so interesting, I can't stop smelling it. Weird, almost dirty greenness. Not muddy, still clarity, still clean, but this feels like a bouquet has been cut up with scissors and the flowers discarded, and then you're left with this weird greenery. It's the most interesting of the bunch for sure. Not the prettiest, but it's not the ugly duckling either. Anyway, not the prettiest. Maybe it's the ugly duckling. It's the one that's like, yay, I'm going to stand out and be cool and be different from the rest of you. But I love this line. I wish I could have done Tango for you guys, but hey, I can do this. Amber spiced goodness. Anyway, that is pretty much 99% of Masque Milano's line. Oh, I'll say 95 because I don't have the two new ones. I hope you liked this video and didn't get bored of the sound of my voice like I do all the time. And thank you so much to Alessandro and Ricardo for sending me these. I'm going to enjoy wearing them now on their own, on separate days. I'm Romano, trying to make the world smell better one video at a time. I'll speak to you guys soon. Goodbye.